Stage 12 of the Giro D'Italia promised to be an absolute cracker. Marked down as a day for the breakaway long before this race started, and with everything having been the way it's been, full gas, non-stop, highly entertaining, more of the same was hoped for. Beginning in Martinsicuro, first 50-odd kilometres on the flat up the Adriatic coast. But once they reached Civitanova Marche, they'd go inland and into the hills. The usual Muri Marchigiani stage, the walls, Tirreno Adriatico type country. This always promises to be an exciting day when it comes to the Giro. 193 kilometres, 2,200 metres to climb, up and down for the last 3/4 of the stage. And it would not be up and down in terms of the entertainment. It will be up, go further up, and finish on a high. Paleni, Funsen-Martinsteg and Trentin were the first three to try. And they were left to hang out there for a long, long time whilst all the racing raged behind them. 40 kilometres would pass and no breakaway. Then the next move went with 150 k's to go. 3 riders again. They get around a minute, but then the real attacks will begin as the climb started. Alaphilippe going, Piccolo trying to follow, and then 40 or 50 riders trying to make it there with them. Alaphilippe made it to the front. In the end, 38 riders would get there. Pelayo Sanchez would be trying once again. But the groups at the front weren't that organised. Too many riders, and with 126 kilometres to go and the 38 riders away still trying to understand each other's ambitions, Alaphilippe and Maestri went. Alaphilippe's team must have been wondering what he was doing. They controlled for the first 60 kilometres or so. They had 26 seconds on the rest of the chasers, and the peloton eventually were letting the break go. But in the breakaway coming up from behind, in that large 38-man group, a couple of dangerous riders in the general classification. Domenico Pozzovivo was one at over 7 minutes. The main threat, though, was Alaphilippe's teammate Jan Hirt. He was travelling at just over 5 minutes. He was on his way, in fact, to the podium in the general classification. So behind, Bahrain started to ride. They'd be assisted by UAE Emirates, holders of the pink jersey. Alaphilippe and Maestri would be ahead with 1 minute and 42 as we went into the final 50 kilometres. The big chasing group behind had long split up. Pogacar was all smiles as the threats on the GC faded away. And a group of 9 was now chasing the 2 up the road. Inside the final 15 kilometres, the wind blowing as well. Everybody was watching the peloton and the Maglia Rosa group as a few splits appeared. But everyone was also watching this group led by Narvaez and company to see if they'd come back on Alaphilippe and Maestri. 43 seconds with 11 k's to go. And Alaphilippe on the final climb to Monte Giove, dropping the man he'd ridden with so well. Maestri, 32 years of age, never won a Giro stage at 7 attempts. It was the first attempt for Alaphilippe on Giro debut, also in his 30s, not having won a Grand Tour stage for a good 3 years. But he was away, he was alone, he had 10.5 kilometres to go, going over the final climb, and with just over 40 seconds as the group behind broke up again. Narvaez looking good, and he'd go with Hermons as Valgren followed on with Scaroni on his wheel. Still not a done deal at this stage, and Narvaez, we know, in fine form. Bora Hansgrohe were trying to put Dani Martinez in the right place to challenge Tadej Pogacar. We waited to see if there'd be any moves. At the front, there was no movement in the gap, and Julien Alaphilippe was on his way to a chance at glory. 37 seconds in the final 2.5 kilometres. Finally alone, half a minute to celebrate. Julien Alaphilippe winning alla grande at the Giro d'Italia. A message to Patrick Lefevere after all of the winter criticism, and joining the Grand Tour Grand Slam Stage Winners Club. The Vuelta Tour and now Giro. Already a Giro stage winner a couple of times. Narvaez was second. Third place would go to Hermons. It was a day that had started absolutely rapidly. The first half an hour at 55 kilometers per hour, and there would have been a sigh of relief in the pink jersey group as they all crossed the line without any major differences in the top 10. A stressful day to control behind. A super combative, wonderfully entertaining win to Julian Alaphilippe. Many reminded of Peter Sagan's debut at the Giro and his stage win, which had been the record for the fastest stage win of all time. The way he came and battered away the competition. It was similar for Alaphilippe in this instance, beating Narvaez, Hermons, Valgren, Scaroni and the rest. A top 10 too for Maestri, who of course contributed so much. Glory then to Alaphilippe, who thought about his family and friends who supported him through the public criticism. He's back winning in the way only he knows how. Tadej Pogacar, in the meantime, continues to win the Giro D'Italia. He is at 2 minutes 40 seconds in front of Dani Martinez. Geraint Thomas in third, still at 2:56. A superb day on the Giro. A possible sprint day coming up, but a warning. The wind is forecast to be howling right across the peloton from Riccione to Cento. This is the Pan-Flat Piadina stage, usually one for the sprinters. Interesting to see if anybody will be willing, or even with the legs after a day like this one, to go in the breakaway. It's 179 kilometers long. The sprinters will be hoping to control, but you just never say never. We've had interesting finales here before. Not a bit of climbing in sight. On paper, it's the easiest stage of the Giro d'Italia. You can watch it on Eurosport Discovery Plus, or if you're in the US, on Max.